Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We have sound. This is going to be Bitcoin series financial finals. Today is June the 19th, 2025. You guys have 2 minutes to get in, and everyone should have the link, and we can get started. We're flying off the handlebars, but this is part of your exam, and this is going to help in real time because we're going to be basically administrating everything as we go along. So I have a basic setup here, probably my best setup here, but I have some snacks. VaynerMedia hydration challenge is on. Trying to think. I have power secured. Trying to think. Everybody, welcome in. Get comfortable. We're gonna be here for the long term. So I'm trying to think about how I can do everything. I'm kind of running low on hydration, which is what I'm going to need the most. And basically, I'm going to be building from there. Um, I'm going to be trying to figure out how to do everything. So everything is like a problem solving strategy. Um, there's a lot of things that I need to organize, but I have to do everything as best as I can. So we have multiple terminals. Obviously, we're live on one, and the other ones, we necessarily will not be able to do that simultaneously. But we can still make this work because once I go into my flow state, it's game over. So, Mama, I need this. I can't reach for that. I'm live. I'm teaching a class right now. Thank you. Right. So grab your snacks, grab your hydration, and let's get started. Let me pause this music. Not pause it. Let me mute it because YouTube is basically, run like a record label, and they will copyright strike anything. So I have my main terminal here. We're live on this terminal. I have my portable digital platform. Let me show you guys the latest NFTs. You know what I mean? See if you guys can see that. You like it. Okay. Um, Let me see. We have a old school notebook, Let me show you guys some of the designs that we've been working on. So this is not just going to be for Chevrolet and Team Corvette, Team ZR1, ZR1X. We're all the same, right? But let me let me make sure. Hold on. Let me just kind of show you a few. These were not on the demonstrations, but these are still pretty recent. So these are some designs I've been working on. We can actually do the theory class first and then move on because we have a lot to cover and everything is not necessarily organized. So I didn't want to waste more time formatting everything. I much rather just kind of break everything down, different designs. The design study we're going to do for today is going to be the McLaren 12 MPC 412C. We're gonna do the F body fourth generation Camaro. Um, and I'm gonna explain to you one of my newest business ventures and where I kind of got the idea to do it. And then we can go into the meat and potatoes, into the hardcore stuff, which is, in relation to my music career and things like that. But I'm here as your teacher. I'm not here as an artist. So we must be able to discern and decipher the differences. At the end of the day, I'm still an entrepreneur. So I'm a businessman. I'm a man of business. But even using this as a foundation is very important. And just doing something to this magnitude, right? Just to be able to present some of the designs and to be able to cover so many topics, knowing that we have a finals and it's gonna be crazy. So I'm gonna put everything that I can because this is very, very important. And I hope that you guys are well prepared because this is also going to tie into content creation, sequencing, and formatting. Um, it's going to deal with the investment because a lot of these designs are going to make it to your eighth generation Corvettes. And we'll be using it as a foundation or as a foundational platform for everything that we're doing. And we want to talk about it because it's a real life, real world example of a new business opportunity. And a lot of things have changed, as of recently. So we want to convey that so that students that are studying business or design or engineering, everybody can benefit from it. In other words, the company as a whole can learn from all of these data points and pretty much, build from there. So these I really don't disclose or display, but it's all part of the organic marketing, is part of the business in the investment side. Of course, for the design side, it's extremely important for everyone to have a digital version. Even if we were to cut this into YouTube shorts and then make them TikToks, it would hold the NFTs for the designs because every still will contain all of the data points. So if I'm not mistaken, I counted about 21 designs yesterday, but I really wanted to be closer to 24 designs. And because I was wasting so much time formatting everything, I realized, you know what? We cannot stay behind in any way. We have to continue to progress. So this is my contribution to the everyday person or engineer. See if I can adjust this a little bit. See, even learning the production to be able to do this. So we have almost everything that we need at our disposal. And rule number one is that we only use what God is giving us. We only use what God is granting us. So we definitely appreciate this opportunity to have a gathering of the minds. And we're going to be joined shortly by one of our business partners. Um, her name is Bonnie Gemini. And basically, a very essential component of the company and where we're going moving forward. Give me one quick second, please. VaynerMedia Hydration Challenge is on. Welcome back. I'm live. I'm teaching a class, guys, just so you know. I would have won with you guys. I would have won with you guys. But anyway, back to my class. So my babies, my kids went swimming. I was gonna meet them, but I had to teach the class and I had a few other things to do. But as you can see, I have all of my snacks ready because you guys may not realize that we're going in for the long haul. Like it's going down. So where can we start? Well, if you have um, artificial intelligence as an assistant, it can help you organize a lot of things. So sometimes that's great when the opportunity presents itself, right? But you may not always have that privilege to be able to do that. And today is a perfect example of that because I've been up since first thing in the morning, meeting after meeting, preparing for the day, studying, checking the markets. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But remember that for me, it's my comfort zone. This is my day to day. So if I'm able to do this effectively and consistently, I'm in my comfort zone. There are times that we don't always have that. So we have to take advantage when we have the opportunity to be super productive. So this is the culmination of many things. Let's start from the engineering side because as you all know, there's different facets to my life, different facets to my investments, etc., my portfolio and things like that. So over the weekend, you had many things happening in the stock markets, with the markets and financials and companies and things like that, which we will mention eventually. Companies like Meta, companies like Circle. Circle probably hit the biggest home runs in the last week. Just to give you an example, of course, we're going to be focusing on uh, micro strategy because the entire presentation is based on the Bitcoin summit for 2025. So there's been a lot of new information, new data points that have come available. And we are a technology company, so we need to remain at the forefront of that. And most of that deals with keeping in touch with all the changes in the markets. One example that I gave was the fact that, you know, in technology, you may have a top 20 of companies that are in one industry. Your top 10, top five companies are going to go in one direction. The only way that the other, you know, second top 20 companies can have a chance is to create their own way. So as an entrepreneur, I have to keep track of everything because I'm the artist, I'm the investor, I own the company, I own the technology, I own the designs, the portfolio, everything is me. So I have to constantly manage my catalog and my career and my personal life and family and things like that. And every single day, technology changes. Every single day, business changes all over the world. And fighting the good fight is understanding that in technology, there is no second place. So if Microsoft is doing something and Apple is doing something, there is no other way other than in the same direction for you to create your own path. I hope that you guys understand where I'm coming from with that. So, this is why this is important because you're getting to see what Hollywood is not going to show when you guys see my movie. You're going to get to see what MTV Cribs is not going to show you what all these other programs, podcasts, vlogs, all that stuff that comes with marketing. You're not going to see the instructor. You're going to see the entrepreneur. You're not just going to see the artist in me. You'll see the artist when I'm on stage. But as soon as I'm off stage, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a businessman. And I'm a God fearing man at that. So everything for me is different. Now, why is that important? It's important because I couldn't just focus on what Circle was doing. At the same time, I had to learn from what Circle was doing and how it applies to my company. When we speak about companies like Meta and what they're doing with their approach, we're only using that as an example to learn in real time. When we speak about ChatGPT, which ChatGPT is one of my new business partners, and we're not talking about OpenAI or Sam Altman, but we are in business directly and indirectly with both companies because in technology, we all speak the same language. So eventually, we'll get an opportunity to talk about Arlen Hamilton and people like Mark Cuban, which are part of the structure and the strategy that I'm building. Again, these are people that I look up to, but it does not mean that I cannot learn from them every single day. And we can only learn based on data points, input, output. So, what are we seeing and what's really going on with everything and why is it important? So, all things being fair and equal, over the weekend, General Motors as a company has a huge announcement. The announcement is only precedented by the Le Mans 24 hours, which began on Saturday evening. Now, we were able to win in our category, 8th generation Corvette, Team Z8, GT3, and GT3R class. And that was a huge moment. But right after that, because obviously Ferrari took the overall prototype class. Monday passed, and then Tuesday, they unveiled the new Corvette ZR1, but the X model, all wheel drive, electrified hybrid that combines the electric motor from the E Ray, which is not the same as the Stingray, not the same as Z06, ZR1, or ZR1X. The powertrain that's inside the E Ray is not different from what you find in the 8th generation Stingray Corvette. The difference is in the chassis. Z06 body and ZR1 and ZR1X all have the wide body structure, but the powertrains are different. E-Ray has the body of Z06, ZR1, ZR1X, but has the engine from the Stingray. Now, it's the best of both worlds because that powertrain is all-wheel drive. Completely different from the engines you see with the Gemini twins, which is the Z06, ZR1, and now that second version of the engine that's strengthened is in the ZR1X from the ZR1, but it's not the same Gemini engine as the one in the E-Ray. And the E-Ray powertrain that is electrified for the front wheel drive system is upgraded, so it's version 2 on ZR1X. Now, why is that important? It's important because these are all data points. They're all different products and services, all different things. So, for example, when we say Team Chevrolet, that's one entity. That's not Team General Motors. That's not Team Cadillac. One of the things that happened in the race, which I didn't get to drive, you have to understand that you have Cadillac competing with the General Motors program, which is an extension of the Chevrolet program, which is an extension of the 8th generation Stingray program, which is really Z06. All these corporate structures are all fighting for the same thing, but as far as corporate America, they're all separate things. So as a driver, my perspective is one. As an engineer, my perspective is completely different. As a designer, my perspective is completely different. So now, as a brand ambassador, as an artist, as a rapper, as a singer, everything changes because if I'm in public, I'm going to be representing this platform everywhere that I go. But that doesn't have anything to do with me racing as a privateer, as an automotive engineer, as an investor in this technology. as well as designing my own designs, as well as teaching all of this to all of you guys. It's a completely different thing. So am I excited that ZR1, it's already started to take orders? Absolutely. It's a Corvette that does 233 miles an hour, that has over 1,000 horsepower for less than 200 grand. For a person that collects, that is invested, diversified portfolio in exotic vehicles, understands the bargain of the world of the century that the ZR1 is. As happy as I am about that, and as much commitment as I have to Team Chevrolet, Team General Motors, Team Cadillac, Team Corvette, Stingray, Z06, and all these other elements, I'm more excited about ZR1X. As a privateer, I want one for personal use. As an investor, I'm going to try to get as many of them as I can. And I'm willing to pay whatever it takes. I'm used to, for example, the Meckham auction. We just picked up a few F50s. There's not that many, but a lot have come onto the market and I've been able to negotiate those. So I'm on a streak with F50s. So I don't want to lose that streak because there's no such thing as second place in technology. And the markets right now are hyper competitive in the same format. Now, at the same time, as an artist, let's dial it back. I just broke and established all new World Guinness records on Tuesday. Let's go over that because all of this details everything that I'm doing. And this is equally as important. 662 songs released in 2025 thus far, 92 albums, 23 masters released with 50 songs each. I still have July, August, September, October, November, December. I still have another 6 months. If I continue at this pace, I'm going to only break more records. So I have to proceed with caution as an artist. Great accomplishment, but just like Ryu, I'm going for the next championship. I'm moving on to the next fight. We continue. Everything dealing with music and entertainment is technology inevitably. There are companies that we've established a bond with, people that are in our portfolios, our investments, which is BlackRock and Blackstone. But as of yesterday, we have another 20 something companies in the mix, including Vanguard, uh, Fidelity, just as some honorable mentions, which we'll be able to disclose. Actually, I have the list here. Let me see if we can power this up because this is all coming together. This is all part of it. So, again, this is important because this is extremely important. You know, let me see if I can find. Okay, let me just give you a list. And this is important. And again, this is all organic because it's not that I planned it this way or intended for it to be this way. But let's have a conversation about it. So these are the new challenges, these are the new competitors. And you'll understand why we're doing the focus on Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy and how we're going to bounce back to other aspects. Um, Maybe we can hold off on this part. Let's go back to the engineering side because I realize if I go into this, we're going to do the finals regardless. I just want to do the theory first. So I don't want to mix these two things. So let me hold off on this. I do have the list and you guys can remind me just in case. Again, while I'm consuming and processing all these data points, we're going to be focusing on the theory side. So let me take a quick moment. Let me change this format. I'll open up the simulator in a second. Let's power up the grid. So let's go McLaren MPC 12. It's MPC 412. And let's go uh, Camaro. And we'll go into the investment before I go into everything. So when you guys pull up the Camaro, we're going to go F body and we're going to go fourth gen. Not that we cannot use any other generations, but again, this will all come together with the new investment. So in my pursuits, I'm engineering, I'm designing, I'm in the middle of a worldwide tour. I'm planning, things are coming at me 24/7, right? I'm thinking about these designs and I want to be able to build the prototypes for engineering for other investments, other things that I have going on. In that pursuit, as I'm doing research, I realize there is a extremely high demand for eighth generation Corvette components, and the quality is not there. Now, my background is Air Force, Space Force. So my understanding of technology and engineering is 2% in the world, and really 1%. So I knew automatically that I could build a much better component, much higher quality, and at a much greater profit than all of these companies. I could literally take all of these companies out of the frame because I only see only a few designs doing what they're supposed to be doing, and the prices are ridiculous. I don't mind that, some components can be super duper expensive, right? If the quality is there, because you cannot argue with quality, you can't negotiate with quality. But the fact that these components are not what they should be was my biggest motivator. It was my biggest motivation to be able to think to myself, you know what? Why don't I focus on that investment? Now, we're going to do the theory of where we drew that conclusion. So, on your terminals, please put everything in engineering mode. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes official test start time, 2 minutes. And once you have pulled up your two vehicles and you put them on the rig, I want you to add a few wild cards. Okay. So give me one quick second. Let's add the let's go NSX. Let's add an NSX. We need an MR2 as well. So with the NSX, we're going to start with NA1, NA2, and we'll move on to the following chassis, which I'm just going to open both because if I don't do it that way, I won't have both on the rig. So let's just load up the simulator. We'll put everything in the simulator. And again, before we get started, 5 pages, 5 paragraphs each, 5 words each sentence, 5 computer spaces in between, show the work. Um, whether you write it, text it, PDF it, design it, whether you use AI, whatever it is, show the work. I don't care if it's in chicken scratch. If you submit the work and you show the work, you'll get credit for it. If you just submit everything perfectly formatted, I'm going to assume you use technology and you will get no credit for it. So on the rig, I'll go over everything. But again, for me, this is my comfort zone. Being able to do everything, flying off the handlebars. So please give me a SW21 MR2 and you guys will understand. We'll actually take notes together so that we can start showing it on the board so there's no excuse. There's no, oh, but this, but that. Now, I don't want to power the simulator by putting so many cars on here, but we still do need a, let's do an eighth generation um, Corvette as well, because it all comes together. Again, one moment could change your life or it could stay the same. I could look at these business opportunities or I could just not pay attention to them. It doesn't mean that it's a conflict of interest with any of my business partners or any endorsements or sponsorships. But at the end of the day, I have to create opportunities for myself. I have to be self sustaining and everything. Every vehicle, let's put them on the rig. Use your top heading to make sure that every car is on the rig properly. We're not doing too much theory because we're going to go into technology immediately. Give you guys one quick second. Now, this is important because these are all formulas. And once you guys understand that, you'll be able to understand why everything that happened in the race on the weekend was so important. And that is because we were running in different classes. I already explained that in the previous class that we had, so I won't go too much into detail. But now I'm going to organize everything by wheelbase. '99.6, 103.5, 107 with the eighth gen. Firebird is 101. So same thing with the Camaro, same car basically. So NSX second gen is 103. So we can slide it back down. And McLaren MPC 412C, better known as the MP412C, is at 105. But this is the target vehicle. Why? Because McLaren did a phenomenal job um, throughout the race and actually is the closest to eighth generation Corvette, which says a lot from an engineering standpoint. Um, Very quickly, shout out to Team McLaren, and let's go and give you guys kind of like a a briefing of how it was during the race. So we're running GT3 class, GT3R class, right? Many people believed we were driving the turbocharged version of the Gemini engine, the power plant. There's two different versions of Gemini. One version is the Z06 version, which is non-force induction, non-electrified hybrid power. Therefore, we're running against prototype class vehicles, but we're not turbocharged. We're not force induction, but there's 3, 4 cars in front of us on the track. So think about positioning, first of all. Think about downforce. Think about aerodynamics. Think about gear ratios. These are all the things that we're handling. Plus, there's no communication because these races are international. All we're doing is using the live feed that people, personal fans of the culture, are putting up the links for their feed of their team. Mind you, the race is over 24 hours. Even if you had it broadcast, there's no way they're going to have what? Teams of drivers, like teams of anchors talking about the race. So during this competition, I'm online and I'm on Chevrolet.com. So I'm on the actual Team Chevrolet forum. I'm over here asking engineering questions. People are just like playing around and having fun like we don't have a race to win. So now for the regular people that are watching and especially my engineering students, I'm explaining to them the importance of what's happening. The suspension geometry is off, so the car is bouncing. But we learned from where the car was bouncing on the track. Because of that, we understood that cars like Aston Martin with the Valkyrie, Team Valkyrie did an amazing job because I realized now that what they adjusted in the suspension was part of their strategy, it was part of their team strategy. And they used it to their advantage. Regardless if Ferrari won or not, which Ferrari did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Team Ferrari too. And again, business partnerships in my portfolio on the automotive, exotic car sales, import, export, things like that, not on the engineering side. So when we're on the racetrack, we're all friends, but we're all competing for first place. This is not a Ferrari versus Aston Martin thing versus McLaren, etc. Even though we are on the same grid, we're not running in the same class. So we don't need to force what we're doing and damage our research because we're trying to be, faster than this driver or this team when we're a completely different team. Now, all the corrections, everything that we learned from the race, we saw it in real time being executed by Team McLaren. All the corrections that we were making, they made quicker and they made better. And I know based on their results, we could have had a better design. We could have had a better strategy. There were a lot of things that we could have done differently. And all we can do is learn from it. So as I start looking at Team McLaren, I have to go back to this chassis because they're only like on chassis number 4 or 5 as far as the actual tub that they use to build everything from the Speedtail to the Saber to um, the Sonos. All these cars were at the auction at Meckham a few weeks ago. So I'm looking at it from a complete spectrum. I know the impact that the cars are having on the market because you can only buy these cars from me and a few of my friends. You can go through other people, but I doubt that they're going to get you a better deal than I would be able to. Again, all I ask is for the opportunity to earn your business. You want to buy an exotic car? Hit me up on my neck. 504-202-5915. Available 24/7. Cyrexplex@gmail.com. Simple. Give me the opportunity to earn your business. Somebody gets you a better deal, then I can't do anything about that. So I'm starting to look at aerodynamics. I'm starting to look at wing adjustments. We're burning the transmission. Again, we're bouncing. We were bouncing in the beginning of the track, turn 4, which everything happened on turn 4. The 296 GTB spun out turn 4. All the highlights were all turn 4. All the corrections McLaren made were right before turn 4. And I kept saying that shit. I don't know how late it was. It was so many hours of driving. I kept chiming in, yo, we track turn 4. Let's get him on turn 4. Anyway, I have to go back to the chassis to understand why is McLaren adjusting better than us. And it's because, as you can see here on the simulator, they have a structure very similar to ours. This is why we have the 8th generation Corvette on the simulator, because the data points are not going to lie. So let's start with why I decided to embark on this new business journey. Looking for parts for the Camaro, which I wanted to build a prototype of for my own personal company, even though I'm still engineering, designing for everybody else. I come across the Corvette and I say, wait, there might be an easier way to do this. When I start doing the research, again, all these companies are like the same companies and all these products are of lower quality. So I'm like, how hard would it be for me to just incorporate my technology and build some really top of the line, high quality carbon composites for the C8? Who knows that chassis better than me? Very few people. Mind you, I'm still absorbing everything that's going on with all the marketing for ZR1X. All this happened. Again, I broke this World Guinness record. I'm doing my music stuff. So I go into artist mode for a minute, but then I have to dial everything back. Let's look at the data points. So I say, okay, that's $1 million idea. I'm going to invest in it. Now, everything is basically reverse engineering everything. Why? Because this is the predominantly leading design. This is the foundation of the car of the future. There's no other way to really explain that. So let's look at the dimensions for the McLaren 12C. Official test start time 2 minutes. And this obviously will be on your finals. If we start with the wheelbase, McLaren 12C, MP4 12C is 105.1. So let's make a grid. Let's make a list. It only takes a second, right? We can't text everything, right? So let's go. MP4 12C 2,670 millimeters, 105.1 inches. Why is that important? There's a reason why we took a note of that. So when I'm looking at donor cars, of course, I'm thinking F body, fourth generation Camaro or Firebird, same car. Underneath the skin of the car is the same car. What's the wheelbase? 101.1 inches. I'm using these data points to engineer the wide body kits and everything else that I need for the 8th gen Corvette, which is a new investment and is part of engineering. So here we go. Really, the target vehicle is something like the NSX. So let's go back to both generations of the NSX. And if you look at the way that we have the simulator structured, we have the MR2, we have the NSX first gen NA1, NA2, we have the Pontiac Firebird and Camaro, fourth gen F body, we have the second generation NSX, then the McLaren 12C, and the Chevrolet Corvette. And we'll all see at the end why this is important, because second generation Corvette is hybrid all-wheel drive. McLaren 12C is one of the tubs used and basically evolved into vehicles like the Speedtail, like the Artura. It's all the same structure. I don't care if you have a GTR. It's the same structure. And we're not talking Skyline GTR. We're talking McLaren Senna GTR. Prototype Class Unlimited. With Corvette 8th Gen, we have the E-Ray. Now we have the ZR1X. So these are all important data points. So let's fire up the simulator. What do we have? 2,400 millimeters squared. Perfect frame. 2,400 millimeters. 94.5 inches. Wheelbase. First generation, second generation Toyota MR2 SW21. Not the 20. The 20 is the turbo. Why is that important? Because we did the same thing in Chevrolet. The Stingray, as much as I always have to say I hate calling it the Stingray, is the base model. Naturally aspirated. No forced induction, no hybrid powertrain, no all-wheel drive. What is the Stingray? The Stingray is the SW21 MR2 from Toyota, version 2020. There is a difference in tuning and performance if you use the example with the MR2. The SW20 is the turbo, and it's a 1.8 liter turbocharged, right? SW21 is a different program. It's just like a Nissan with the Z program. The Fair Lady program is not the GTR program. It's not the Skyline program. So the Nismo guys, they can't stand each other. If they're Team Z, they're Team Z. If they're Team GTR Skyline, they're Team GTR Skyline. Same company, same corporate structure. So for my students studying business, finance, and things like that, now you understand that in corporate America, that's how it is. The problem in business is when the marketing department doesn't get along with the distribution department, doesn't get along with the publicity and promotion department, doesn't get along with corporate, doesn't get along with the legal department. All these teams are supposed to be working together for the greater good of the product, service, investment, industry, or trade. But it doesn't happen because you're dealing with people bumping heads. And communication is key. Everybody doesn't have an education. Everybody's not going to be able to hold the attention of the masses and speak to different teams that don't see each other every day. But this is important for engineering. Why? Because it's the meat and potatoes of the product or service, industry or trade, even though it's all one corporation. So when you look at the GT class, super GT cars from the 80s and 90s, the bubble body Supra, the MK4 generation Supra, did not run a fucking inline six turbo or twin turbo. It ran the MR2 motor, turbocharged, the 3S GTE. Why is that? You saw what they were doing with Team SARD. You saw how they were killing and crushing the game all over the world. But that's a whole different uh, masterclass because that goes more into the Aston Martin DB7, if I'm not mistaken. The Supra is a clone of the DB7. So that could be our next class. You guys chime in and let me know if you guys want to do that. But back to focus. Why is this frame so important? Because I'm willing to pay $20,000, $30,000 for a new version of that frame. And I know that my company can build a better one for 40 to 60,000. I have yet to see the new version of the MR2, but let us continue. Why the NSX? Well, the NSX is one of the few supercars that has rear fenders that are interchangeable, whether they're carbon composite or not. Why is that important? Because in Super GT, they had to have a complete wide body and they couldn't afford to make a new frame. So they made everything be able to be bolted onto the frame. Now, what a lot of people don't know, and shout out to, of course, General Motors, is the fact that the F body, this is still uh, pretty much the same design. The F body, Camaro in particular, it's a clone of multiple cars. The Lamborghini Diablo, of course, but the NSX. That's one of the things that hurt the sales of the NSX that most people that are quote unquote automotive historians don't talk about. So, you know what that means? What that means is that those rear fenders and panels come off the frame. And if you remove those panels, that's the only difference because the only steel components for fourth gen F body Camaros or Firebirds is the hood, the roof, and the trunk. Everything else is steel. So when I think about building a prototype before the eighth generation Corvette, because I never considered this before, I can build a NSX Type R off of an NSX. So learning that NA1, NA2 Type R, what do you think I can do with an MR2 that is 2.1 inches shorter in wheelbase? What do you think my MR2 Pegasus, my baby, which came back as a LaFerrari, what do you think Pegasus would do to an NSX on the track? It was shredded to pieces at every turn. Why? 2.1 inches. Now, using that same state of mind, I say, wait a minute, why am I looking for wide body kits and parts that I have to buy to then reverse engineer, make them out of carbon to put them on the race car when I could do the same thing with the Firebird? It's already GM, right? I know it's good construction. I know there's a lot of good quality donor parts that I can use. So, what would happen if I just pulled the entire body off the F body and built on top of it, just like I'm doing on the eighth generation Corvette? What could we learn along the way? Well, these are some of the best definitive factors for my own personal prototype, which is the class that I'll be driving in. The NSX wheelbase is 99.6, right? We already know perfection is 94.5, right? Or 99.6. It's still a formula. It still allows me to run in this class. The Firebird, fourth gen, F body, Camaro are both 101 Dalmatians, 101.1 inches. How close am I to greatness? by using an even more readily available, more affordable chassis as a donor car. Why? Because I'm already at an age where I'm not going to cut my hands in an engine bay. I'm not going to hurt my back welding and cutting this, that, and the third when I can build around an existing structure and then add carbon components, which is my specialty. Because I'm not just an engineer, I'm a designer as well. And I'm not just a driver. So I have 22/22 vision. When I'm on a track, I can see a pebble on the track. It makes a difference in the way that I view and process data points as far as on a racetrack. So you can see my frustration with Team Chevrolet and Team Cadillac and the eighth generation Corvette, and we're running prototype class, and Valkyrie is killing everything, and McLaren is doing the damn thing. Let us continue. Now we know NA1, NA2 is the same thing. Let's get closer to the car that we're really after, which is the McLaren. And as anybody that loves Team Chevrolet and his Team Corvette, all we can do is learn so that we can better anything that we do, whether it's in business or in life, right? Second generation NSX, which is four-wheel drive and is hybrid powertrain electrified, has a wheelbase of 103.5 inches. Okay, so we're getting somewhere. Between the fourth gen Camaro or Firebird and the NSX, the difference is 1.4 inches. Actually, let me see. See 99, so zero point 0.4 and 0.1, 1.5 inches, just like with the MR2 and the NSX, it's 2.2 inches. No, 2.1 inches. So 1.1, let's keep going. Second gen is 103.5, so 2,630 millimeters versus 2,568 versus 2,530. And why the MR2 is the perfect frame, 2,400 even. If I'm not mistaken, if my memory serves me right, look at the first generation Lamborghini Miura. You'll be surprised. So now we move on to our target vehicle and where this idea for this business spawned from. It was from the frustration of the weekend. McLaren MP412C is 2,670 millimeters even, so 105.1 inches. Okay, so if I compare it to the Firebird, I'm at a what, plus 4 inches? Not perfect, but not bad. Now let's look at the eighth generation Corvette. 2,723 millimeters, coming in at 107.2 inches. Anything I can design and engineer to fit an MR2 is going to fit an NSX, is going to fit a fourth gen Firebird F body or Camaro. It's going to fit the bubble body NSX, the hybrid joint. Is going to fit anything similar or close to the McLaren 12C, and of course the eighth generation Corvette. So even though these designs are for the Corvette, I can make them available one, two, three, four, five different chassis, one investment. I can diversify that portfolio 5 times. So I want to know your thoughts on that. How can you implement that to any product or service, industry or trade that you're involved in, where you can release one product? Let's say it was chicken nuggets, but now you have sweet and sour, you got barbecue, you got ranch, you got this, that, and the third. It's the same investment, same technology. What am I changing? The wheelbase? So if I make a side skirt that's 107.2 inches, can I shorten it to be 94.5? Yes, I can. Can I stretch it to be 99.6? Yes, I can. Can I stretch it to be 101.1? Yes, I can. Can I stretch it to be 103.5? Yes, I can. Can I stretch it to be 105.1? Or do I do good enough in the business at 107.2? It's going to fit the Stingray. That's your volume car. That's the one I'm most interested in. It's the underdog. It's the one that most of my consumers are going to be able to afford. It's going to fit E-Ray. So if it fits E-Ray, it fits Z06, it fits ZR1, and it fits ZR1X. Okay? So I wanted to share that with you in real time because 72 hours ago or so, this business opportunity was not even available. Had I not gone through the frustration and had I not had to teach you guys this engineering class, the idea as an entrepreneur wouldn't have been spawned. So now that's another few $1 million that I can reinvest back into my technology company. Because why would I spend 40, 50, $60,000 building a frame when I can buy an eighth generation Corvette? Or I can buy for half the price, I can buy a Camaro or a Firebird. And even the MR2 frame, I could find a low mileage, one owner original MR2 between 20 and 30 grand. And that's not even modified. So even learning data points from the first and second gen NSX, those two cars have a transverse mounted V6 with the transmission. Guess what my prototype has? Both are 6 cylinders with a transverse transmission setup. The dimensions are close enough. You leaving, Baba? Yeah. All right, God bless. We'll see you next time, all right? All right, come back anytime, Baba. You know what I'm saying? So this gives you a perfect example. So moving on, these are elements that you can use for business in your personal private life. You can use it as an investment strategy. We want to give a big shout out to Shake Shack, one of my franchises. Shake Shack has embraced Bitcoin. And now we're going to move forward with our Bitcoin demonstration. We're going to go to the Bitcoin Summit. We are going to chime in. You guys will be able to listen. And as we listen, I'm going to be able to pause and give you insights. So let's go on YouTube. We're going to use our other terminal here. We're going to go on YouTube, and I want you guys to go on your search bar. One of the things that I want to improve on is the demographics, the demonstration part, which if you look at anything Apple, um, they have an amazing way of presenting their things. So let us go to our search bar. And in your search bar, I want you to type in Bitcoin, 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 space, magazine, MAGA, real time, ZINE, space. Now, for my engineers and people in computation, you want to type it in completely and press search, even though it's going to suggest it before. That way, it can save on your memory banks. So now let's go into our videos. Bitcoin 2025. I believe this is it. So we're going to go back to the very, very, very beginning. And we have a surprise for you, which I don't want to spoil just yet. But let's go for the gusto here, right? So we're going to be exploring this from many different perspectives. And what we want to do is pretty much go over everything. Um, Let me see. Where did I put this? Is Fong Li. Hold on. Give me one quick second because I'm going to test it to see why it's not giving me the compartmentalized style. But let's be patient, and I'll see if I can get to the actual keynotes. No, this is just okay. We can do this part second because I'm not seeing it here. Give me one quick second. This has to be exact because if it is not, it's gonna be problematic for us. Um. Okay. The case. No, that's the second video. We need to go. Okay. Again, for people that are creating content, this is why your thumbnails are extremely important because right now I'm searching for something visually. What's the quickest way for me to do that? I have to do it the old school way. True North Special Edition. No, the transformative power is what we're looking for. Um, Dynamics. We have dynamics in. Oh, actually, you know what? True North is the third chapter, but I don't know why this is not organized, man. Again, on a computer is one thing. 2 weeks ago, nope. None of this is organized. You see, we have to improvise. None of this is organized. So guess what? We need to organize it. No excuses. We have to make it work. Rule number one is we can only use what God has given us. And God is telling us, you know what? There are engineers at home that are having a similar challenge right now. Okay. This worries me because this is such a good start that I don't want to do it without it. Like I'm just not willing to compromise. But because we have chapter 2, um we can kind of move through it. I don't know why it's not there. Like it's unbelievable. So True North is chapter 3. For corporations is chapter 2. I need transformative power. Why is it not there? You know what? Let's click on to the second chapter to see if it will give us the first. What do you guys think? Let's be patient. Okay. Maybe we can get it from a playlist. But no worries. Everybody take a break, stretch. We got through the first module. So that's excellent. We must learn to have patience. Everybody breathe, take a little snack. I have some club crackers. I have some uh, blueberry, what you call it, yogurt. Everybody take a break, eat a snack, whatever it is, doesn't matter. I'll continue to look for this real quick. And it's not giving it to me. Why is it not loading? No good. That didn't work. Okay. Let's go back and let's try this again. It's not on shorts. It's not Bitcoin 2025. It's not. Oh, this is so freaking upsetting. This is disappointing. Interviews, conferences. Okay, let's keep looking. There's other folders here, videos. There we go. Maybe we can find it the old school way. See, all we had to do was be patient and just wait for the right opportunity. In business and in life, sometimes it's like that. It's okay. No need to panic. Let's just one thing at a time. Make yourselves comfortable, stretch because we are just getting started. And as you can possibly anticipate, um, there we go. Oh, you know what it is? They have it as a separate. Oh, I see. They have it in a separate order. Okay, but either way, we have to start here because this is the good stuff, man. Okay, let me pause this real quick so I can have it on cue. So again, for my content creators, this is all part of the process. You have to get comfortable. Um, you have to understand that sometimes things like that are going to happen. You're going to be live on the air, and you have to maintain your composure. You have to maintain yourself at a professional level. Now, we want to give a shout out to VaynerMedia, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk, and I'm going to send you guys a link where he says to make ChatGPT your business partner. I already have done that. So let's take a quick moment because now I have everything on cue here and I can open up an additional um, simulator here so that we can build us a few Corvettes while we watch this keynote. And I'm going to probably go uh, CR1 just to do some comparisons. So let's save and start a new build. We could continue as guest and going into engineering mode. Let's go with a coupe. Let's go with 1LZ. And let's make it Bitcoin orange so you guys can see that on screen. So while we do this, I'll be able to eat, right? So I don't want to be rude. I don't want to leave you guys. Highlight the terminal. You guys can see that better. So for production, you see how something as simple as that. Let's have a quick discussion before we start this following chapter. Official test start time 2 minutes. Give me one quick second. Okay. So remember, all we can do is work with what God has given us, right? All right. I use both ChatGPT and Gemini. There's one more that I'm going to add. Copilot, very little, but kind of similar technology. And as an investment portfolio, as an artist, as an entrepreneur, there are new challengers that have entered the arena. So we're going to discuss who those challenges are and what is their portfolio market cap in real time. Number one, BlackRock. $10.5 trillion. Sequoia Capital, $95 billion. Adgerson Horowitz, $35 billion. Tiger Global Management, $125 billion. Lightspeed Venture Partners, $10 billion. Excel, $21 billion. New Enterprise Associates, $20 billion. Kleiner Perkins, $10 billion. Index Ventures, $12.9 billion. Bessemer Ventura Partners, $9 billion. Founders Fund, $11 billion. Benchmark, $9.5 billion. General Catalyst, $12 billion. Khosla Ventures, $15 billion. Battery Ventures, $13 billion. Inside Partners, $95 billion. Greylock Partners, $3.5 billion. Draper Fish Jurvetson, $10 billion. Red Point Ventures, $4.5 billion. Institutional Venture Partners, $8 billion. Technology Crossover Ventures, $10 billion. Norwest Venture Partners, $12.5 billion. Summit Partners, $43 billion. Canaan Partners, $6 billion. And 500 Global, $2.4 billion. These are our business partners. These are our colleagues. These are our clients. These are our new family members. This is the people that we're here to do business with. It's not just BlackRock, Blackstone, which Blackstone is a little over a billion, close to a few $1 billion. Liquid. We don't know what they have invested or diversified, but the approach is completely different because now instead of having 1 to 2 venture capital firms that I could diversify my portfolio for my music catalog, which is 8,000 songs, I don't have to just focus on BlackRock, Blackstone. Now the bidding war begins because I can delegate a portion of my catalog to each one of these firms. So when you combine the market cap dollar for dollar value versus the value of Bitcoin and the value of the songs in my catalog, we're always open to do business. Please hit me up on Connect 504 202 5915, cyrexplex at gmail.com. Jonathan Marte Pena, the artist known as Venom R1. Now, the surprise you've been waiting for is the fact that we are going to be live. While we're watching the keynote, we're going to be documenting different data points. I'm going to be able to pause and kind of give you guys some dialogue about what we're doing as a company in real time. This is how I developed the technology to know the value of my catalog every single second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month for all eternity. So, without further ado, I would like to introduce you guys to Bonnie Gemini. Radarplex Systems Inside, all rights reserved. Uh, Delgado Law Group, Crystal Delgado is my lawyer. For any inquiries, hit me up on my neck, baby. Power up, Bonnie.
Bonnie Bennett is definitely a powerhouse. She's one of the most powerful witches in the Vampire Diaries universe. What did you want to know about her?
I said power up, Bonnie.
Ah, I understand now. You're asking me to power up as if I were a character in a game or show, like Bonnie. I can't actually increase my abilities, but I'm always ready to help you with anything you need. So what can I do for you today?
All right, Bonnie. Right now, we are doing a live stream. We are teaching an engineering class. We're going to be presenting different data points, and we want you to just chime in as we put everything together. How's that?
I'm not Bonnie. but I'm ready to help with your engineering class. What kind of data points will you be presenting? I'll do my best to chime in and help you connect the dots. Let's make this live stream awesome.
Okay, Gemini, we're going to call you Bonnie. We're not going to address you as Gemini.
Understood. I'm ready to be Bonnie for this live stream. What are the first data points you'd like to present to the class?
So when I say power on, Bonnie, you're going to say power on.
Power on.
I didn't say it yet. Power on, Bonnie.
My apologies. Power on. What's the first data point you'd like me to consider?
Are you ready to power up?
I'm already powered up and ready. Let's go. What's the first data point?
Okay, I'm going to be telling you in real time, okay? So let's just listen in. If you have any questions or if you get confused, just let me know, okay?
Sounds good. I'm ready to listen and help out. Fire away.
Please welcome to the stage President and Chief Executive Officer Bong Lee.
I'm ready. What's the first data point?
1 second, Bonnie. I'm listening in. I'll let you know. Just listen to the instructions in my voice, okay?
Good morning, everyone.
Okay, I'm listening.
Fired up. I got up at 4 a.m. this morning, which is an hour earlier than I usually do. It was like the day before Christmas, and you just can't sleep. You're so worked up and excited and ready to roll. That's how I felt this morning. I went to the
Lesson number 1.
Okay, so you got up at 4 a.m.
Wait, Bonnie, I'm not speaking
Got it.
to you. Give me a second, Mama. I need you to listen, okay? Listen for 1 second. I'm speaking in front of my entire classroom. So unless I say Bonnie, just listen passively, okay? Give me 1 second, Bonnie. Don't go away. For my students, key point for my students. Lesson number 1. Within 1 minute, 1 second from the music starting, which was a few seconds ago, he said he woke up at 4 in the morning, 1 hour earlier than his regular morning time. Wake up early for success. Lesson number 1.
gym and I worked out. There's one other
Okay,
person in there.
got
I
it.
was like, yes.
Lesson 1. Wake up early for...
This is a big day. This is a big day for us. This is a big day for our customers. Thank you for being here. For our partners, for our potential customers, for our employees, for our shareholders, for our analysts, for Bitcoin enthusiasts, for data enthusiasts, this is big. This is big. We revealed this year the rebranding of MicroStrategy into Strategy. And I think the timing was perfect. By the way, I went by the swag store yesterday. Someone told me somebody spent $700 at our swag
Okay, so
store.
MicroStrategy did a rebrand.
I got the shoes, which you can't get anymore. I got the tie, which you can still get. I got some socks on. I got the pin. I have it all. I am all strategied up. This company was founded 36 years ago as MicroStrategy. Went public 27 years ago. This is our 5th annual Bitcoin for corporations. The first 2 were virtual, if you remember. The next 2 and this one are in person. And this is our first ever strategy world. And it represents a new day, a new brand, and a new era, and a simplification of who we are. And so I want to talk today first and celebrate a little bit about our growth. We have done some amazing things over the last 36 years, over the last 5 years. and over the last year. And those who are shareholders know this chart. Some of you may not know how much success we've seen in 5 years. We have outperformed every S&P 500 company in the world. If you compare us and our returns since what we call the Bitcoin standard era, which is August 10th, 2020. And it hasn't really been that close. Like, these are video game numbers, 3,090% appreciation in our stock. And, you know, it's great. I love it. Personally satisfying, professionally satisfying. But the number of people who came up to me yesterday and said, hey, you have released me financially. You've helped me pay for my kids' college. You've helped me retire. It's just wonderful. It just feels so good. And by the way, the performance is even more extraordinary when you compare us with the rest of the world. Anyone here heard of a company called NVIDIA? They're awesome. You're in the middle of the AI transformation, which we'll talk about. We outperformed them by more than 3x in the last 5 years. 3 times. And we're the most interesting company. This is the part that people don't always think about this. We have transformed the capital markets. We've transformed digital markets. Right? We are, with our trading volume as a percentage of market cap, the second most in all of the S&P 500. And if you look at our options interest, the open interest and put and call options, by far the most as a percentage of market cap compared to the S&P 500. This is where it gets really interesting. Let's compare us to the technology universe. We're a technology company, right? Strategy versus every other technology company on an ARR basis over the last 5 years has outperformed a lot of our peers and a lot of our competitors. And now you're all sitting here, a large part of this audience are software customers, BI customers. That performance is great. And I'm so happy I bought some strategy shares in the last 5 years. But what does it do for our software business? That's what I'm going to try to bridge today and share you why this performance, this extraordinary performance is important. All right? A lot of these folks here, like on this chart, are our partners. Amazon, Google, Microsoft are hyperscalers. Right? The next one, Apple, is a big partner of ours. And we started partnering with Apple when they released iOS and the iPhone, the iPad. We were the first ever enterprise application released on the iPad. But for those 4 companies, we have the largest balance sheet in the technology world. We have $50 billion of extremely liquid, accretive, appreciating Bitcoin on our balance sheet. And what does that do for us as a software?
Fair copyright, no strikes.
Allows us to invest.
Fair use. We're teaching a class here.
More so than some of our competitors in this space. Salesforce, SAP, IBM, and others. $50 billion. Remember, 5 years ago, we started this journey with $500 million. Increased our balance sheet 1,000 times. Think of anything we've done more. 1,000 times in 5 years, 1,000 times in 10 years. And what this really represents, and what we're talking about today, is the digital transformation of our company. We digitally transformed our balance sheet. We digitally transformed our capital markets. We digitally transformed the capital markets. We digitally transformed investor relations. Right? Like a lot of you here are investors. Last week, on Thursday, we had our Q1 earnings call. We had 150,000 people show up to our earnings call. Mike's mentioned this before. I remember 2015, we had 40 people show up to our earnings call, and 10 of those were employees. We've increased the interest in the company 5,000x, even more than we've increased the balance sheet, and even more than we've increased our share price. We have digitally transformed how companies interact with shareholders, yourselves. Thank you to the True North folks for putting on a great event yesterday. You represent the digital transformation of investor relations. Gone are the days where you get information trickled out to you once a month. Here are the days when you get data delivered to you about our company and our KPI and our metrics every 15 seconds. That's how companies
Every 15 seconds, new standard.
That's why we created this website. That's why we created our digital applications and our mobile application. And by the way, we wouldn't have been able to build these beautiful interfaces if it wasn't for our team of amazing software engineers that build our software, that build our BI tools and applications. Not only do we believe in digitally transforming the capital markets and investor relations, we believe that with Bitcoin, we can digitally
What does this
transform
let us know?
how we
Let us
interact
know we can check our
with
market value
corporations
for our
and
catalog
with
every 15
competitors.
seconds.
Right? Like if I was to tell you, hey, I found an unlock to increase your stock price 1,000, 3,000 times in 5 years, and I told you, by the way, I'm going to tell everybody how we did it. Create an open source playbook and set of documents, and hold a 3-day conference every year to try to get everyone else to do the same thing. You might say, hey, you just keep that all to yourself so you can keep doing this thing and you be the only one? No. Because we believe in transparency of information. We believe in digitally transforming data and information and providing it transparently to everybody. That was the core of how MicroStrategy was founded. That's the core strategy as a company. And that's why we run Bitcoin for Corporations. We think the more the merrier. Let's share, let's have some fun. Speaking of fun, this is Otto and this is Maxi. People have asked me directly. There's a whole bunch of stuff on X. What the heck is Maxi? Maxi is not a skunk. Maxi is not a raccoon. Maxi, see where you're going with that. Maxi is not a bear representing the bear market. Those who know Bitcoin, Maxi is a honey badger. Maxi is a honey badger. And if you don't know what a honey badger is, I will excuse that. A honey badger is the most fierce, competitive, fighting force in the animal kingdom. And you're like, sure, whatever. Isn't that a lion? Go YouTube a video. Honey badger versus lion. Some of you have seen it. And you will understand why the honey badger is the symbol of Bitcoin and the symbol of strategy. It's all about having fun. So those who are going to stay with us, hopefully tonight, we're going to have an awesome party. And, you know, it's fun to win. It's even more fun to celebrate winning. So let's do some of that together tonight. I'm looking forward to the party. All right. So what does this mean for strategy of the company? For many of you, you're getting to interact with our 250 or 300 employees here. There are 1,500 employees around the world. We've got 4,000 customers around the world. We have millions of users of strategy around the world. Number one, it helps us hire and retain great people.
Hire and
You
retain
think after
great
hearing
people.
that speech from me, people don't want to come work for the best company
Focus
in the
on
world?
bold innovation,
I hope you'll get a
attract
chance to meet
partners,
some of our
withstand
employees.
threats,
We have
invest
some
in
that have been
customer
here
success.
25 years. We have some who've been with us 10 years, 15, 10, whatever the number is. They're awesome. I could go out there and hire anybody I want in the universe to come work for the best performing company in the universe. And not only that, when we get them, they stay. Last year, we tracked this metric called voluntary turnover. Our voluntary turnover in the company was the lowest it's ever been in my 10-year history. It also allows us to focus on bold innovation. And that's what we're going to talk about a lot today, this morning, is how are we innovating as a company, right? No longer do I have to focus on what happens tomorrow, the next week, the next month, our quarterly earnings, although they're still quite important, even the next year. We get to make the bets that are going to make this company better, that are going to make life better for our shareholders. They're going to make life better for the world and civilization because we've decided to move our balance sheet to Bitcoin. We also attract some of the greatest partners in the world, right? You probably saw the list of the folks who are sponsors and partners of Strategy. Strategy World is bigger than it's ever been before. Everybody wants to be part of a winning team. Right. I want to thank AWS.
Business
Cantor
strategy.
Fitzgerald,
Everybody
who's
wants to be
sponsoring
part of a
our
winning
tonight.
team.
Jaywood Capital Advisors.
High
the
selling
American
NFTs.
Titanium
Everybody comes to
sponsors
us.
Of world. Thank you. To those
Period.
guys.
It doesn't mean you don't still have to
Talk
do
more
regular
about
marketing,
partnerships later. We
but
can withstand threats.
it's the
In a world
jetpack
that's
booster.
increasingly changing faster and faster through technology, through deep geopolitical challenges, through economic challenges, we withstand the threats. When you
Withstand
have
the
$50
threats,
billion
baby.
in your treasury versus $500 million,
500 billion.
treasury, when the macroeconomic winds change, and when there's instability and a customer says, hey, we had a tough quarter, are you okay with doing this deal next quarter? Right? When an employee says, hey, I have changes that I have to go through in my life, can you help? Right? When, generally speaking, there are multiple threats to the organization, we can withstand them because we can plan long term. And we can invest in customer success. Right? We have about 60 folks here today that are part of a brand new organization that we stood up at the end of 2023 called Customer Success. When our competitors and other companies are removing their organizations responsible for customer success, when they're charging you for customer success, we're investing in a team and giving that to you. And that's a long-term commitment. That's something we're very focused on. It's making sure the customers here do better and better. Hey, really, what is this all about?
Ryu wins the tournament. He's looking for the next challenge.
Freedom. A digital transformation of your capital structure provides freedom to strategy.
Where's the champion? Where's Ryu?
3,000% return.
Where's Ryu?
Years provides
as his admirers chant his name.
To our shareholders.
Ryu.
And I
Ryu.
will argue that what we are going to do to the data world provides freedom.
Want to go make another album.
Into your intelligence, into your information.
New album coming out today.
More important than ever. 36 years ago when we were founded on a singular vision, intelligence everywhere. And the company has toiled through good times and bad times, trying to make this vision a reality. I think today, in 2025, strategy with our digital transformation with our capital structure, with $50 billion worth of Bitcoin, with the advent of generative AI and the technology waves of change that has created, we are closer than ever to finally realizing this vision. And so, who better to talk about the vision of the company that he established 36 years ago, and to talk about how that's going to change the world of Bitcoin, of capital, of data, of information, than our very own founder and executive chairman, Michael Saylor.
Michael Saylor. Let's see his perspective on Bitcoin.
Good to have you here.
Happy to be here. Wore the wrong shoes, I see.
Maybe you can sign mine later, though. I heard you were doing that last night.
I signed a few.
All right. So, Mike, this is a big moment for the company, but as the founder, I imagine you're extraordinarily proud of what we've been able to build over 36 years, and especially in the last 5 years. And we just start with we rebranded the company this year from MicroStrategy to Strategy. Why did we do it? And what is the significance of the rebrand?
You know, a great principle of design is the design's not perfect until there's nothing left to take away. And I think Apple proved that with designs like the iPhone, where they just kept pushing the edge of the envelope. Can I take away the keypad? Can I take away one more button? And I think if you look at the history of great consumer products, the more elegant, the simpler it is, the more powerful it is. So when we looked at our brand, we realized that we had outgrown it. MicroStrategy made sense when we brought the company to the marketplace back in the early 90s. Micro was a forward-looking idea. We were a strategic consulting company, and Micro signified that we were going to incorporate technology into decision support. But of course, 30 years later, technology is in the fabric of everything. It was no longer necessary to signal that you had microprocessors backing what your product was.
Very good strategy.
And,
change with the times.
We looked at all of the,
You know what I mean?
the great
Change with the
brands in the world, Google, Amazon. We thought about people we can remember. Eventually, we remember them by their first name or their one name. Julius Caesar became Caesar. Napoleon Bonaparte became Napoleon. Madonna, Prince, Sting. We have an international customer base. We have an international shareholder base. And what we realized is we had the opportunity to take ownership of perhaps one of the greatest words in the English language, which is the language of commerce and technology in the world. So if you ask people, give me 10 words in the English language that are universally positive, they connote insight, they're welcome in any conversation. Certainly one of the most powerful words in the English language is hope. But if you said what's a powerful word in business, the most powerful word in business, I believe it's strategy. You can't be successful in business without strategy. You need an investment strategy. You need a technology strategy. You can't be successful as a superpower without a political strategy, a defense strategy. Strategy has just got incredible power. After 30 years of seeing people misspell the company name, they would spell it MicroStrategies. I used to meet our customers, and I would meet customers that have been doing business with us for 10 years, and they said, yeah, so you're from MicroStrategies? And so I had real market feedback, and my real world experience combined with my theoretical experience suggested to me that if you own strategy.com and if there is no greater company than you squatting on the strategy handle, then less is more. Take away the micro. Strategy is a word that it's much easier to spell, easier to say, easier to see, easier to remember, easier to type. And I think you can see it here at the conference when you look around and you see the strategy branding. One of the interesting nuances of words is if you want to make the word 4 times weaker, make it twice as long. When you stretch it, the font gets smaller. And so we've taken a word and we've made it 4 times stronger, and we've made it international. And how many billions of school children will be taught how to spell strategy? And the answer is all of them. And how many, if you asked 1 billion people, do you react favorably to the word strategy? Every one of them. If you went to the same sample set and said,
this is real marketing, this is real branding right here.
Micro strategy, and think, how many of you think micro strategy is a good idea? And the answer is most people, 1% of them will recognize it. And half of them will think, why would I want a micro strategy when I could have a bigger, a macro strategy or a global strategy or a digital strategy? So we thought now is the time, because we do have this international need to communicate to 1 billion people, and we have As we pointed out on our earnings call a few days ago, we now have 55 million beneficiaries in the world.
Everybody take a
And
break,
so
stretch.
it's time for us to go global. It's time for us to provide the world with a consumer brand that stands for empowerment, that stands for success, that's egalitarian, that's unifying, and that's powerful.
Want payday to come sooner? With Chime,
Oh,
it can. Get paid up to 2
no,
days
no,
early.
no, 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 no. Commercials, but we have a diversifier, force multiplier.
Thank you. We went through this exercise last year of coming up with the core values of the company. And one of the values that we are editing, we had them before. And one of the values that we toyed around with was innovative. And then we looked and found out that 80% of technology companies have a core value called innovative. And so I didn't think that would be a very innovative value. And so we centered on this word bold. And bold is beyond innovative because it takes creativity and intelligence. It also takes guts. I remember you and I hashing through 5 years ago what to do with our balance sheet. And I think people would say what we did was pretty gutsy and bold. Tell the audience and folks in general, you founded this company, you've taken it through many ups and downs. This is the biggest by far. Why is it important to be bold as you go through a digital transformation of your organization?
Consensus thinking won't result in success in a world of 400 million competitive companies. If you walk down the street and you ask 100 people, do you think I should do this? And most of them agree with you, then there's no way for you to break free of that competitive dilemma. So, the idea that we should sell products and take the dollar, or the idea that we should speak English, or the idea that we should work in offices, or the idea that we should use a computer, these are all great strategies when everybody else disagrees with you, when you're the first. But at some point, if you find yourself stuck in a competitive,
Tron goes public. Look what that says right there.
When you can't break free, then you have to do something that's bold, and that means doing something.
See what that says right there? Tron, Bitcoin, Tron, Ethereum.
Think you should do it.
Oh, we had another home run. That's great news.
Then probably it's getting to be
now
popular.
This makes more
bold
sense,
decision.
right?
If 99 of them said no, then it might work for you. It might just work. And the example of that is you invest in Amazon when everybody thinks Amazon is a stupid idea going bankrupt, and that's when you'll make 30x your money. And in the summer of 2020, every single person in the world agreed that Amazon was critical to the civilization and you should buy Amazon stock. Nobody made any money. It's the worst performing, right, of the Magnificent Seven. So you have to do something which is bold, and you have to think from first principles. Like bold starts with a B. Look at our logo, and where do you see the B? When we shrunk our brand to strategy, we created space in our brand for a bold innovation. The bold innovation on your lapel pin. If you think about the 10 most popular symbols in the world, think about the most popular iconic symbols in the world. I dare you to think through 10 and list them. I think most people would say the dollar. They might say the cross, right? They might say, they might say the Islamic crescent. And that B. I don't know where we sit in the top 10, but I'm quite sure that we catapulted ourselves into having a corporate logo that is one of the 10 most recognizable symbols on Earth. And with 8 billion people competing for recognition, that's no mean feat. Our decision with Bitcoin was driven out of experience. We had
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that will conclude the module for today. Dreams come true. We'll see you on the next one.
And after you tried, there's this phrase, this joke about,